Well, hello and welcome to a bonus edition of Neighboring 101. This is David Burton with University of Missouri Extension. And for this bonus session, I'm very proud to introduce to you Dana Elwell. He is the interim director of Restore SGF in Springfield, Missouri. It's not unique to Springfield, but it's new to Springfield. Maybe that's, and I'm going to give him a chance to tell you about the background, how they learned about it, I guess, in Iowa, and really how it's set up to operate in Springfield. I think it's a great resource for some people living in Springfield, and it's probably a resource for other communities to learn about how to do something similar as well. So, Dana, thank you for joining us. I know that you've been retired. This is a second career for you, but this really fits into your experience, and glad you've taken on this task and role.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, the key word was interim director, so I'm only here for kind of initially get the program rolling. The corporation is a nonprofit. We were actually formed in June of last year, 22, and the intent was to start rolling as soon as they could. But with everything going on with the COVID, they were delayed getting that, so they approached me back in early this past June whether I could start doing some work for them, get it kind of up and going, and with the thought they'll have a permanent director possibly when next year rolls around. That's the expectation. But so we're a new nonprofit. As I said, we actually opened our office July 1, had an open house in September. The whole program that we do is called the Block Challenge Grant Program, and it was designed really solely after a program in Des Moines, Iowa. It was called Invest DSM. And so the whole program is modeled exactly like they had. It was formed up in Iowa in 2020. The program had, I'll tell you how the program works, but their first year they had 250 applications. And since then, it's been 100, 150 every year thereafter. So it was obviously a success. So there was really no reason for us to come up with some new program or try to rewrite it. We're really following it. So the way the block grant program works, we first selected neighborhoods that we wanted to deal with in Springfield. Our program does require some money from the people that are going to have to do their improvements. So we couldn't really get to the lower two. If you divide the neighborhoods in 6 groups, you'd have 2 would be the really lower income that probably wouldn't be able to provide and do our program. The 2 in the higher groups obviously don't need help or any kind of grant money. So we tried to focus on what we would call the 2 middle income groups. So we selected ultimately 5 neighborhoods. We were trying to make sure we at least got 1 neighborhood in each of the city councilman's zones, just so that we'd have buy-in from city council itself. But we ended up getting 2 in zone 1, which is our Northwest Springfield, which probably would be one that needs the most help. But the way the block grant program works is that you form a team of up to 10 to 19 people. You could also form a team of 5 to 9, and we'll kind of go over the differences here. But you form a team of 10 to 19 people. You have a team captain. The thought is we're going to provide a grant up to $2,500 maximum, or half of what you spend, whichever is less. So if you spend $5,000 on your property, we would provide a grant of $2,500. If you spend $3,000, we'd provide a grant of $1,500. So the key is that the team captain would get the other 10 members together, and we want the different team members to be in eyesight of each other. Like number 1 team member can see number 2, 2 can see 3, etc. 1 may not see any other member other than number 2, but we want it to be kind of a line of sight. What we found in Springfield and Des Moines, it was kind of defined as you would stand on your front porch and you could see your teammate. We found that early on, knowing a lot of our front porches are kind of indented into the house, so you can't hardly see down the road. So we had it in our literature that would at least step out a few steps away from your front porch and you could see a teammate. And talking to many of the neighborhoods, which we've talked to all of them now, it became concerning that maybe they couldn't really see somebody else. In our case in Springfield, the home ownership rate is 42%. So that means there's 58% rental rate out there. the state average is 69%. So we're way behind in home ownership rate, unfortunately. So we've kind of expanded the ability for eyesight, the chain of eyesight, where maybe you're in your front yard, you can see a roof of a person around the corner or something. And so we're trying to get as many people involved as we can so that they would have an interest in that. So the expectation is all the work that they're going to do on the house is exterior work. And that the rationale on that is that you have a neighbor or someone driving down the street and they see work being done on the outside. They turn the corner to go to another house. There's another home that's in the team that they happen to see there's work being done on that outside. And as you go on, so you've got potentially 10 homes being improved in this neighborhood. And so that was critical to the success that they had that. So it's kind of a three-pronged approach. You have the neighbor, obviously, that's fixing their own home up and is getting improved. You have the neighborhood itself now being improved because you got 10 members, maybe 10 to 15 that are being improved. And then the third one, which is equally important, is you're finding communication within the neighbors.
Yes.
Early on, when we came out with the program, some people say, well, I don't really know my neighbor. And so this kind of strengthens that community feeling that you improve your home, the neighborhood, and you're going to improve the communication.
I think that's the golden piece right there. That was what really certainly perked me up. But the social capital that you're helping to build there, that's going to have long lasting impacts beyond just the home fix up project here.
Yeah. And when I said that Des Moines had 250 applications first year, you could see that once they got it rolling, there were a lot of interest in this program. Now if you have a smaller group, we've allowed that. If you have 5 to 9 members, you can do that, but the grant amount is only $1,000. So our hope was that somebody would come to us and say, well, we can only find 8 members. We would say, we'll try to help you find 2 more because you can increase your grant from 1,000 to 2,500.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this was identical the way Iowa did it. That we used exactly the same forms. Obviously, we did the forms to reflect Restore SGF, but used their forms. Just didn't see a reason to try to do anything new that they hadn't already tried. So, but we have a minimum amount of expense of $1,000. So if someone spends $1,000, we would then grant them 500 in that case. So, but if you have a team of 10 or 15, you don't all have to spend the same amount of money. You might have one person in the team spend $1,000, one might spend $8,000, but their maximum grant's $2,500. They do their work all on their own. If they want to hire somebody, that's fine. If they can do the work themselves, that's fine. But they actually apply as a team, as a group of 10, and we approve the team, and then they fill out a scope of work, which actually details the exact work they're going to do on their individual homes. Obviously, it needs to be exterior work. And so we approve them as a team, then all 10 members that provide us the application scope of work. We give them a letter showing we've approved, and they go start their work.
Yeah.
They could finish at different times. You might have one team member's done in 3 weeks, another one's going to take 3 months, and that's okay. We would, once the team member is finished with the project, they would submit on an itemization reimbursement form. Here's the 5 items I spent money on. Here are the receipts to show and prove that. And we would then give them a check for half that amount.
And you have mentioned the Des Moines program several times. Who is that kind of a nationally recognized effort, or was there a connection, someone in Springfield that knew about the success of that program?
Well, the way I understand it, somebody maybe at the Fed of St. Louis put us on that program, and I wasn't involved early on like that, but we actually had a group of people go to Des Moines and take a tour of some of the homes that they had worked on and how the program worked up there. And then I guess the leading member, not sure what her role is, but somebody I've been visiting with actually came down to Springfield and did a presentation to our city council.
Okay.
So that kind of convinced them that was workable. Our funding comes from various sources. Number one is we have 11 banks that have committed over a 3-year period to provide $390,000. This really is an incentive for them on the Community Reinvestment Act that they are required to show they invest in the community, not just in checking and savings, but they provide other services. And this is one way for them to show they'll provide the services. We also got funding through the city from ARPA funds, $1 million of that actually. So that was a commitment for us. And then the city itself committed $300,000 over a 3-year period, or $100,000 a year. So we have in that scenario then about $1.7 million effectively of funds available to us that would pay for salaries and office and all that administrative stuff, but more importantly, it pay for the grants. So
yeah, that's a significant investment.
Yeah,
from the
Des Moines,
city
Des
and
Moines,
the banks.
Yeah, Des Moines has funding, from what I understand, from both the city and the county. They each contribute. I don't know if there's a sales tax or how it is. They each contribute $5 million a year, or a total of $10 million for this project. And
Wow.
Their project also expands into some inside work. They actually do some. They might do like $50,000 to $75,000 of improvements on the outside. They file a second mortgage on the property. However, there are no payments and no interest due. And depending on what your income level is, in this particular program in Des Moines, big part, in fact, would be forgiven. And for example, if it was someone under the 50% AMI range, 75% of the entire amount that they invested would be forgiven. The remaining would just stay as a lien on the property and would not be paid until it's sold. So there's never payments made. So whether we get into that or not would be a big question. But they started with this program I just described, kind of on a smaller scale.
Well, do you have some goals for the coming year? Is there? You mentioned that Des Moines had what 250 in the first year.
They kind of indicated that one reason they thought it was so successful in the beginning, as we all know, in 2020 was not a very good year with COVID, and people were sitting around their house, inside their house, recognizing, gosh, I need to do some repair work around here. I haven't really noticed that before. And so they attribute really the big number of the 250 applicants the first year really being that people around their home, versus the years thereafter was more 100, 150. As I mentioned, we actually had an open house and announced our neighborhoods on September 13th. Des Moines, obviously further north, they have an application period because, again, these are all exterior improvements. They have an application period from April 1 to September 3rd or September 15th, because part of the program is we would like for the improvements to be done in 90 days. So they try to make it where you could actually get approved and finish 9 days. We didn't even announce our neighborhoods till September 13th. So we thought it wouldn't make any sense to wait till April to actually take applications. So we said in our program that they could start September 15th and have it done, or have the application approved by December 1. Obviously, we're getting into weather-related problems potentially, because if they don't start till late November, they'll be into December, January, and doing some of this outside work. So we recognize that, and we've had some communication with our neighborhoods about, they recognize 90 days is in all our documentation, that we will be pretty flexible with that. We don't have an actual application in hand. We've visited all the neighborhoods. I'm anticipating any day that we'll get 2 to 3 10-member applications that we'll have to review and approve and get them started, because the biggest interest has been in Woodland Heights. I was there Tuesday night, our second visit, I think, and all the people that were there were all wanting to sign up. And then Grant Beach was one that we are expecting we'll get a 10-member team from there. The other neighborhoods, we reached out a couple of times to them, and it's just a matter of some people that we talked about early on that I don't know my neighbor. I don't know if I want to be involved in that kind of thing. And so it will take some more encouraging. I'm the sole employee of Restore SGF. So the conversation was, should we send postcards out and try to get some interest? And I said, well, there's 2,800 homeowners in our 5 neighborhoods. And if 10% of those people had some question or interest, it would be 280, maybe 200 calls that I would be trying to retrieve. And my concern was they would leave a voice message because maybe I couldn't answer if I'm talking to somebody else. I call them back, leave a voice message, etc. That if we don't get back till 2 or 3 weeks later, they'll say, "Guys, this isn't worth our time." So I told them I didn't really want to do that. Although Des Moines actually said really their success was by virtue of dealing with the neighborhood associations themselves. They had some flyers and postcards and stuff like that, but that the neighborhood association was the best way to get the word out.
Well, that kind of is really what you're seeing here in Springfield, because of those that you mentioned, Woodland Heights has a very active neighborhood association. And
that
so
was part of our selection committee, was how active and how good was the neighborhood association was a key part to what we thought we wanted to evaluate when we did that. We have the 5 neighborhoods. People may or may not know about them, but Woodland Heights and Grant Beach are northwest side. Doling Park is a big neighborhood and it actually spreads over zone 1 and zone 2, but it had like 1,100 homes in that neighborhood itself, where the rest of them were like 500 to 700. So we divided Doling Park almost in half, calling it Doling Park East. And that kind of took care of it. Was the east side is really in zone 2, Councilman zone 2 neighborhood. Zone 1 was the west side. And we thought if we did the entire Doling Park, there'd be concern that we'd now have 3 neighborhoods in zone 1. And so we didn't want that. Zone 3 is Fast Night. And in zone 4, we divided also. It's Meadow Park. It was more of a reason. It's an L-shaped neighborhood, a backward L-shaped. And the L part actually was in a higher income scenario than the rest of it. So our concern was the banks would think they're not going to get credit for CRA if we're loaning or providing these grants to an area where the income's really higher than what their guidelines are. So we excluded the west part of Meadow Park. But all the neighborhoods we deal with would provide CRA credit for the banks. So I think they would be happy with that.
Excellent. Well, I think we have several of those neighborhoods represented on this call, and I want people to have a chance to ask questions.
Well, I might also add, we just requested Monday night in front of City Council, we're going to offer a down payment assistance program for the exact same 5 neighborhoods. The city got $500,000, of which we're getting $466,000, that we can provide $9,000 down payment closing cost assistance to people in our 5 neighborhoods that want to buy a home. They would be first-time home buyers, but that would be something that they would like for us to use, the city, with this ARPA money over the next 3 years. So in addition to improving the neighborhoods to owners that are currently there, we could provide down payment assistance for them to go get a loan, and they'd have its grant also. Now on the block grant program, there's no income limitation, just whoever lives in the neighborhood qualifies. But on the down payment, the income qualification is 150% of AMI. So if they earn over that they wouldn't qualify, although that's a pretty little, like a family of 4 is 113,000. So it's pretty good amount of money. It is first time home buyer. So there are a couple limitations to that, but we think that's a great opportunity too for people to be interested in neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's a tremendous opportunity, and an amount that would put some people over the hump to be able to do a down payment and get in.
Yeah,
so
the down payment, probably cash is the biggest obstacle in buying a home. They have studies about that, so we can hopefully eliminate that. We have lenders that have indicated they would provide 100% financing if necessary. And one of the requirements of the down payment assistance does have to be fixed rate. So it can't be like an adjustable rate or balloon or something like that. So,
well, some of you may have some questions. I want to open the floor. Take yourself off mute and jump in. Anyone?
I've kind of had to come and go because I'm in a school, but it has to be within those neighborhoods. Is that what you said?
Yeah, we and again, attorney in Iowa, we didn't think if you spread out over all the neighborhoods in Springfield, you would have any impact, because there'd be so much. So we tried to focus on what we thought initially were the 4 neighborhoods that could utilize it, again, utilizing each one in a zone, a council zone. So we have buy-in from the city council. Our plan is in some point in time, whether it's next year at this time or 2 years, we will add to the 5 neighborhoods, maybe to add 2 or 3 more.
Okay.
But right now, be restricted in those 5 neighborhoods. Yes.
Okay.
I guess one of the ways we can help is spreading the word about it to people we know that are in those neighborhoods or those neighborhood associations.
Yeah, as I said, we've made a presentation to all the neighborhood associations of our 5. Yesterday was at a realtor group talking about the down payment assistance, and one of the neighbors from Meadow Park approached me, and they're going to put something out on their Facebook page about, hey, if you're interested, let's get the list together on our Facebook page. But early concerns were, I don't really know my neighbor, so I don't know if I'm too interested or I feel comfortable. And so we're trying to overcome that. We have maps that show in blue who are homeowners and yellow who are renters. So we provide that information so they would have an idea of who are the homeowners they could try to select to go approach about being in this program. But it takes probably a strong neighborhood captain or association to try to help them with that.
Well, for some, there's certainly a financial incentive here to step out the front door and get to know those people living around them immediately.
Well, that was my thought when they said that, and I would talk to them a little bit about it. Say, well, we can provide up $2,500 in cash here if you want to make some effort. So we'll see. But I'm comfortable that both Woodland Heights and Grant Beach will have an application here shortly. So as I said, we just actually opened it up September 13th. So we've been out and talked and provided information, and we want it to be a success so the banks will feel that it's something they want to continue to be involved in.
Yeah.
Thus, we can then reach out to maybe 2 or 3 more neighborhoods at some time in the future.
That'd be wonderful. Stan, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a couple of them. The grant of the 5,000, is that per project or per team?
You're talking about the block grant. It's 5,000 per project.
Per project. So a team of 10 to 19, if they're putting together 8 different projects, it's could potentially be up to what, 40,000 maximum, right?
But yeah, it'd be, and that's another key that they have to keep in mind, that when we did the same as Des Moines is when you're doing your project, if you're going to spend 5,000, if that's what your project cost, you're going to have to be able to either front the 5,000, either by credit card, loan, or cash, or the people that you're going to pay will wait till they get paid, and so we don't give them the grant until the work is done. So we would then issue a check to them for $2,500. But that's per person. That's how that works.
Okay, and so that's reimbursable. A grant to reimburse expenses.
That's correct.
And do you have any kind of, I'll call it quality control, quality of work requirement?
Well, if it requires obviously a building permit, that gets the city involved. But really our requirement would be only that it's an exterior improvement that we can see. If they're painting, we're not going to judge the quality of how it was painted, and we'll see that it was actually painted. But certainly if they're going to do electrical work, lights or something, they got to get a city involved for a building permit. If they're going to build a deck, I think the city has to be involved with that too, to some degree. So,
okay, do you approve the project itself before they start? Maybe
yes. The team application would be the members on the team, and then each of the members filled out the scope of work form that says, here's the work I'm going to do. They'll describe it and how much it's going to cost. So we approve the whole team after we've approved all the members' scope of work forms.
Okay, yeah, you want to be sure that it's doable. And okay. I think you've answered the question, because what seemed to me to be one of the hardest thing is getting a team formed to start with. And I guess from what you said, working through an active HOA is probably the most useful approach.
That seems to have worked. And then I was going to mention, we also just this morning I'd met with him several times, a gentleman from Sherwin-Williams Paint. And they come up with a program. They will offer $20 off the first $100 of paint someone buys, and they would offer wholesale price for anything thereafter, and encouragement. So they've got a postcard they just gave me this morning. It's got the Restore SGF information on it, so they'll be able to track who took advantage of that program and what neighborhoods were involved and that kind of thing. But yeah, the key is getting the members of the team together. But the meetings I've gone to Tuesday night with Woodland Heights, all the people at that meeting were buying in. They were just trying to figure out how to get the team together, who was going to be Des Moines had, if it was 20 people in the team, they found it easier just to divide it to 10 teams versus
Okay.
having all 20 in one. I don't know. And so we did that too. Someone has asked me at our meeting, does that really need to be done? And we said, well, it just seemed like it was easier to handle 10 versus 20, but you're still handling 20 people ultimately. But
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Stan,
Yeah.
those were excellent questions. Thank you.
Mhm. I was going to ask for examples, but you don't have any yet, right?
well, examples, we have a list of them. Obviously, roofing is one that some have done.
Yeah.
Landscape been something. Painting, obviously. Siding, I'm looking here. Window repair and replacement. Really things that we're looking at is any example, driveway. Someone did a new driveway.
Yeah.
So you're looking at exterior, the key being exterior, because we also have yard signs that once we get a team up and going, we're going to put yard signs in the yard powered by Restore SGF. So another way to get people interested, thinking, well, I wasn't interested before, but now I'm seeing that this actually works. So I may apply and get some people together. It's worth the time if I can get that kind of money. So we'll see how it comes out. But as I said, I'm expecting probably 2 or 3 teams here shortly and getting in preparation that we'll have to start evaluating their applications and the work they're going to do. Yeah.
Now there's getting very specific, but I know some neighborhoods could benefit from lighting, and that's not something that city utilities would necessarily do. Individual owners would need to put up yard lights and things. Is that kind of a project that would be?
Yeah, it would. I think that would be one. Again, you start involving electricity, you got to get a licensed electrician, that thing. But
yeah. All right.
In fact, on some, they would remove a tree would qualify as long as they plant a new tree in its place.
Okay.
So, again, an improvement of the front property that you can see.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, this sounds like a fantastic investment of money and time, and that will pay dividends in Springfield for a long time. I really commend you for helping lead that effort, Dana, and the work you're putting in to spread the word on it. And want to offer the floor to anybody else if there's any other questions. Well, be sure you have an opportunity to ask.
I'll provide you my contact information. If you have questions, you'd like to contact me directly.
Yeah.
My email, the Restore email is info@restoresgf.com. And my phone number at the office is 417-986-6970. And our website is restoresgf.com. And so it's got this program I just mentioned, the block grant, the down payment assistance. As I've mentioned, we made a presentation at City Council on Monday, and I was hoping maybe we would know on Monday, and I'm sure we're going to get it. But City Council has to do a second reading, and so they don't do that till the 20th, and then they have to provide a contract since it's ARPA funds from the federal government. So there's got to be a contract signed, which will take some period of time. So probably the down payment money may not be available till maybe mid-December. But we're hoping sooner rather than later, and we'll start wanting to get applications on that. So,
well, I sure appreciate your time to share, explain the program, go over it. I'll make the video available later today. We'll be sure and spread it as far as we can on social media and around the area. Great, great effort. Really commend you for taking part of that. And I really do love that element of neighbors working on this together and connecting. I think that's the secret sauce on this that makes it really exciting. And maybe sounds like it's a hurdle here at first for some, but that's going to pay dividends in the long run. So thanks for being a champion for that.
We appreciate that anytime. We'll provide any information we can.